again, it's me Marshmallow, and in this video, I'm going to be drawing the 3 new characters that received outfits inside of this update inside of PKXD. By the way, this video is going to be pretty chill, so feel free to grab some snacks. Anyway, let's get started! First of all, I grabbed a 40-minute timer because I didn't want to take too long drawing these. Anyway, as I just started by drawing the sketch, which basically included the head and also the torso. I didn't want to draw the rest of the body because I haven't really practiced that much, so I'm just sticking with the basics here. Then I drew the basic features like the nose as well as the mouth. Then I drew the jawline, and then I just adjusted a couple of things. At the 37-minute mark, I decided to draw the hair. Since the hair was pretty wavy, I kind of just copied that design onto my drawing by adding some squiggly lines and then connecting them with yet another set of squiggly lines. Then I kind of just repeated the wavy cycle until I felt like the hair was kind of bushy / thick enough, so yeah. After that, I just made the eyes a bit more defined by adding some details. Then I adjusted the eyes some more because I didn't feel like they fit with the face. Then since I was pretty much done with the sketch, I decided to start drawing the clothes. I started by adding the details into the short sleeves of the shirt by adding some rectangles. Then I defined that red top part by adding some basic shapes. Then I defined the red top by adding some lines that kind of fit the picture. I don't really know how to explain this aside from that I kind of just copied the design, but I made sure to remember the perspective that I was drawing this in. Then I adjusted some more things as well as adding some details here and there. After I added some details, I decided to fix the face sketch by just adding some more defined lines. While I was adjusting the face though, I decided to use the lip design from the original reference that I used, and I honestly think that using this design turned out really good. And I feel like it made the person look a lot more like the actual reference. After that, I adjusted a bit more things, and then I made sure to refine the hair because I felt like it kind of looked messy in its sketched form. After that, I just did some more things, including the eyes, and then I just started coloring. I started off by changing the background color to gray so that when I used the color white, it wouldn't just look like it was the canvas. Anyway, I just started off by coloring the top, and then I colored the detail on top of the shirt, as well as the red top. I kind of used like an ombre technique that the reference used, and I think it turned out really nice and polished. Then I started to color the hair. What I did here was that I laid down a base color of bright red. Then I came in with a darker red for the shading, and I made sure to define the waves here. After that, I added some highlights to define the waves even more. Then I started to color the skin. I feel like this part was pretty straightforward, aside from the shading, which I always think is super satisfying. I finished the top off and then I started to color the eyes. Basically, I added a bunch of eyelashes and then I went in with 2 different colors to make the eyes more defined. Then I added a colored circle to make the eyes look even better. After that, I started by working on the eyeshadow. Basically, I added some colors that were from the reference, and then I used the Gaussian blur tool to make the eyeshadow feel more eyeshadowy. And after that, I decided to work on the lips, and I kind of just based it off of the reference once again. I added some circles on the bottom of the lips to make the lips feel more polished. Lastly, I finished the drawing off by shading the skin, the top, and I colored the ear. Here's the finished result. I honestly am really impressed with how this turned out. Now I'm going to be drawing Jade, but there's a bit of a problem. I actually forgot to record basically half of the video, so I'll just tell you what I've done so far. I've done this nice dark to light transition color style on the hair, as well as coloring the shirt, part of the skin, and yeah, that's pretty much what I've done so far. First of all, I started off by coloring the face by just filling in some of the lines by adding an outline of what I'm going to fill in, and then I used the color dropper tool to fill all the stuff in. After that, I added 2 colors into the eyes, which were a dark green and then a lighter green. Then I added a turquoise oval to add a finishing touch onto the eyes. Then I worked on the face some more by coloring the eyebrows as well as adjusting the eye color a little bit. Then I colored the lips using this nice red, as well as adding some circles and then using the Gaussian blur tool once again. Then I added some blush onto Jade. By using 2 different colors of pink. And then I used Gaussian blur to finish it off. Here I adjusted the blush a little bit as well as shading the skin. After that, I shaded the shirt. Over here, I'm coloring the ears as well as adding some details. Before I worked on the last part of this drawing, I just added some shading onto the nose and above and below the mouth, as well as adjusting some of the line work because I originally adjusted the sketch before I started coloring and I really didn't want those lines to stay. Lastly, I added the chains that Jade had on her original character design from the reference. So yeah, that's pretty much all I did. Here's the result! I honestly really like how this turned out. My favorite part about this drawing though is probably how she's just looking up. Now the last person I'm going to be drawing inside of this video is Amaya. Then I refined it and then I quickly went onto the hair because I knew it was going to take me quite a while. Basically, I just parted each part of the hair by adding some lines. And then I made sure to add some lines behind the neck because I feel like the hair doesn't look complete without it. Anyway, then I progressed more. Anyway, then I added a little bit more into the sketch by adding some arms. Then I started to draw the facial features, including the eyes, nose, and lip. Then I started to draw the denim jacket. I honestly thought drawing this was pretty interesting because I don't think I've even drawn one before, but yeah, this is definitely a challenge for sure. And then I started to refine the denim jacket by adding some pockets and some extra details. I even included some tiny details including buttons. Then I decided to work on the eyes for a little bit. I felt like the eyes were going too far wide, so I kind of made them more vertically based, and then I also refined the facial features. I was having trouble deciding what the proportions should be, so I spent a little while trying to adjust things, but I ended up adjusting it pretty well. Anyway, then I started coloring at 25 minutes in, which I feel like is my fastest time yet. Anyway, basically, I started by coloring the denim jacket by adding this really nice blue color. Then I did this really cool ombre effect with the top. And then I tried to adjust the proportions some more, and I think it turned out pretty good. Anyway, then I blended the top, then I readjusted the hair because I feel like it was going all over the place at this point. Then I started coloring the hair. This literally took me like 10 minutes, but basically I started by going by each color. The first color I did was pink, and I just used this on the front of the hair for the first couple of strands. Then I used orange for the next couple of strands. After that, I added some color to the back of the hair using green, this periwinkle-like color, and purple. Lastly, I added the white part of the hair, and I feel like this finished the hair perfectly. Then I added some really quick shading. And then I worked on the eyes. I know I worked on the eyes earlier, but here I was just adding the eyelashes. Then I colored the skin. Then I filled the eyes and lips with white once again so I could have a fresh, clean slate when I was coloring. And then I started to work on the eyebrows. For this, I started by adding a brown color, and then I added another layer and did a lighter brown, and then I blended them to make this really cool effect. Next, I worked on the eyes. For this, I just used 2 colors, and then for this, I just used the technique that I used on the last 2 drawings by adding a darker color on the inside of the eye and then a lighter color on the outside. Then for the eyeshadow, I added a couple of colors that I didn't think I would ever use. And then after that, I used the Gaussian blur tool to make that finishing touch. For the lips, I just used the basic technique of having red as the lip color, as well as using some circles on the bottom to make that really refined look. Then I used Gaussian blur. Lastly, I just added some more shading onto multiple things, including the top, the denim jacket, and the hair. I feel like this took me really long, so yeah, you'll just be able to listen to the music for a while. Here's the result. Honestly, this is probably my favorite one this far because I absolutely love how the shading turned out, as well as just the proportions and everything about it in general. So yeah, that'll be all for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the chill video. Goodbye!